So we're in Newfoundland, which is not America, but it's in Canada, which is in North America, so technically it is America, but like just barely. So these Newfoundlanders are like, I'm a Newfoundlander! And then September 11th happens, and there are a bunch of people on planes, and the people on the planes are like, what is happening? And the planes land, and the people that are in the planes also land in the planes. And they're like, what is happening? And the Newfoundlanders are like, hey, come eat our food and drink our alcohol and have a good time with us. And the plane people are like, okay, yeah, that's weird, but okay. And then they all have a good time because a bad thing happened. And this Texas lady and this British dude get together, and this Muslim dude gets treated poorly, which is the last time that ever happened. And then eventually they get to go home, and they learn that September 11th happened, and they're not super happy about that. It's actually pretty bad, like real bad. And they're like, well, this is real bad. At least we had that good time in Newfoundland. And the Muslim guy's like, well, at least I won't go through the rest of my life being condemned for the actions of a group of people I myself condemn. That's gonna be pretty great. And then later, the plain people and the Newfoundlanders come back together and they're like, hey, some good things happened because of this bad thing that happened. And then they made a musical out of it. I like Come From Away because it is so unusual. I don't think it's unusual for it to happen in real life, but I think it's unusual for it to be portrayed. We have no shortage of despair on the nightly news, and we only get to see the horror. We are bombarded by violence instead of kindness. And despite what you see, I think there is much more of the latter. Humans have an incredible capacity for kindness, compassion. The story of Come From Away is not unique to that specific event. We just don't get to see it. You can tell right away the people have no inhibitions as far as supplying these people with what they need. And despite what you may think of the human race, I think that's actually pretty common. There is enough negativity not just on the news, but in art too. Why has it taken us so long to get something that showcases real, genuine human compassion? To answer my own question, I would say that the lack of compassion drives conflict, which usually makes for a more interesting story. If there's one criticism that could be levied against this musical, it's that it's not so compelling plot-wise, even though it's a compelling story. There's just not a lot of conflict when you have the situation of a bunch of people actively being nice to each other. Which isn't really a criticism, it's just how it is. I feel like maybe it would have been better as a documentary. A musical documentary. A musical documentary that is not about music. Can you think of one? And yes, they are all very concerned and upset about what happened, but it is far removed from them, which is the whole point of the show. But we need to be reminded that this exists in all of us. This capacity for tenderness. Man, I wish I could make this funnier, but I just have so many feelings. It is comforting to know that our base instinct is to help each other, is to cooperate. So take that, The Walking Dead, and other shows of that ilk. I'm very taken with this idea of community. I'm very taken with the thought that these people just sporadically came together and gave each other what they needed without expecting anything in return. I don't want to hear about your, human nature is capitalistic and everybody just wants something for themselves. Yo, maybe when you're put in a box that forces you to act like that, then yeah, you'll act like that. But these people removed from the rat race were good to each other. There was no tally of you owe me this, you owe me that. The needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few. And everyone was totally fine with that. They didn't need incentive. They didn't need a governing force to tell them what to do. They just did it. Isn't that freaking amazing? It's very tempting to overlook that fact, because the world seems very scary. And even with all the very, very bad things that are happening right now, we are moving in a better direction, for the most part, if we don't annihilate our planet first. So what's the message of Come From Away? It's that we have the ability at any time to become a community of people that cares for everyone, where everyone's needs are thought of, where we tend to the sick because that's just what you do, where if you have a lot, you share it. Is this crazy talk, or a tragedy doesn't need to occur for this to happen? We just need an excuse to let ourselves think this way. Alright, let me know what you think in the comments. There's new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, except for this week, which is the Tonys week, so it's every day. Anyway, bye. I'll see you next time. Ba-da-da-da-da.